Good evening, Buck fans. Uh, hey, tough loss yesterday, but again, we're going to look at the perspectives of everything tonight on the aftermath on 102.9 Game Broad Street South Radio. So I know it's hard, but stay tuned and we're going to vent. We're going to talk our shit. And of course, you already know we're just going to let everything, we're going to get everything out of our system. So enjoy. That's exactly what we're feeling right now. I know I was yesterday. That's exactly how I was yesterday, but without the bottle throwing, thankfully. But it's again very tough loss yesterday, guys. Very very tough loss. I know we are still recuperating. I think most of us today we're still pissed, but we've come to accept things and start looking at things from a better perspective. But again, for you Buck fans out there, thank you and welcome again to the aftermath on 102.9 The Game Broad Street South Radio. It's your host AJ Turnup, and we got our other host right here coming up, aka Slick, the British guy who's always flat and who will be on standby. So yeah, let's just again the most important thing that I would like to remind Buck fans is that we defied all the odds. Bucks, Buck fans understand this. When Brady left, we already assumed that doubt was going to set in with the experts and a lot of other people out there. Not as bad as they thought, though. They were telling us basically before the season even started that we were going to be in the draft hunt for Caleb Williams. That's how bad that they thought we were going to be. That's how much that they not let mind you, we still had Evans, Godwin, we still had Wirfs, we still had pieces, but according to these so-called experts out here, your Buccaneers were supposed to be dead last, and the Panthers were supposed to do better. That's how low they thought of us. And look what we did. We started out strong. We struggled in the middle, but we picked it back up. We beat a team, and mind you, we beat a playoff team. We beat the NFC champs. So I don't give a shit what people will tell you. Oh, they were spiraling. It doesn't matter. The Buccaneers took care of business because they would have said it. They would have talked more shit about the Bucs had we a lost. So keep that in perspective. The Buccaneers succeeded a lot of expectations and we're ahead of schedule, and now we can build from here. So I'm very proud of what the Buccaneers did this entire season. They did not give up. They did not just sit around and wait for the draft. Everybody, for the most part, kept the ship right, and it starts with the coaching. No matter what our differences and what I believe in and my opinions about Bowles, he still did a fantastic job finishing the way at the end for the entire season. Canales, he's slowly getting everything together, and he did a good job. Again, guys, this was his first time ever being in control in this kind of position. That's a very hard task. No matter what I say or other people out there say, that's a very hard thing to do. And he got our offense looking good. So, shout out to him. And we got Slick coming on. What's up, Slick? How you doing?
Commiserating a little bit, but proud of what we did in the totality. There was obviously meat on the bone in that game, and it's frustrating to lose. But we went against better opposition, made a good account of ourselves, but it could have been better.
Could have been. I was just saying before you got on, I was just going through the overall perspective of things that we exceeded expectations. People thought we weren't going to be anywhere. People thought that we were going to be dead last, and we exceeded those expectations. And mind you, we are ahead of schedule, just like Detroit was last season, where they were getting to that ahead of schedule momentum. Your Buccaneers are doing that this season, guys. So don't be surprised next season when the Bucs make a deep run, because I'm already projecting that, because now I do think that Bowles has a lot more money. But we'll get to all that. But yeah, we gotta get all that out of, we gotta get the stuff out of our system first. I just wanted to try to say things on a positive note, so people don't think that.
Let's break out the good, the bad, and the ugly, though, AJ. Because let's face it, there were some things that we could have done better in that game.
Absolutely.
The defense started off red hot, and got. I would say you could argue that the offense, with their 3 and outs at some point, was starting to grate on the defense a little bit. There's an argument for that. Cushion coverage was always a thing. We know that's never going to go away. I do believe that's part of the scheme. It just could be managed a little bit better. And they really took advantage of us once Jamal Dean went out, and you could see that.
Yeah. Before we even get into the whole game, though, I'm not gonna lie. Slick, you are an innocent bystander. You have plausible deniability. You didn't know that I'm going to do this, but I'm going to be talking to Detroit fans right now. For the ones out there that are new to this game, I would like to remind you of something. Slick, I'm going to put something up. You mind if I put something up, my brother?
No, you go for it, because your experience with the Detroit fans is a little bit different to mine.
Yeah, I want to show them something. So look at this, guys. So this is your records. So yeah, as you can see, shitty. You've been in a few conferences and you lost all of them. Now let's go, and that's in the 90s, and this was their best record in 91, and they still lost to the Bucs, I think. Yes. Now let's go to this one. Woo! How can we forget that 2000? How can we forget an 0-16 team in this modern day football?
With Calvin Johnson and Matthew Stafford on it.
Exactly. And then so for you Detroit fans out here who don't know, who need a reality check, as I always say in one of my shirts, reality checks don't bounce. I get it. We get it. You haven't been shit.
That's a fucking slogan, dude. I'm going to keep that in one of my team meetings.
That's right. Reality checks don't bounce. Check that, guys, out. That's on my link.
You have a way with words of things that are just oof. They just roll off the tongue.
I spit that hot fire. I'm dialing on. But yes, Detroit fans, I get it. You haven't been shit for a very long time. Your grandparents remember when they weren't shit. That's why you are basically charity cases on Thanksgiving. We have to endure you. You are our drunk time special, typically on Thanksgivings. So with that being said, no one gave a fuck about your team being underrated, being slighted. It's a beautiful news. I like the fact, look, put it this way. You're a Disney darling right now to the experts in the social media, which is cute. That is fine. However, you're not going to sit here and insult my intelligence, not because I'm a Bucs fan, but I'm a football fan. Your team is not a fucking dynasty yet. Slick, when I heard that shit, I'm rolling my eyes in the back of my head. I said, okay, I put it this way, Slick, if they're under 28, I go, I'm not even going to take you serious because you're stupid. You don't know anything. You haven't been there. You haven't seen a lot of shit. But Detroit fans really came out of the woodwork talking big shit. If you thought about it, didn't our last episode on the Aftermath, JT Olsen said this, Slick, that Detroit fans thought they were just going to walk in, that the Detroit Lions was just going to walk in and blow out your beloved Bucs. I don't know why they thought that. That was dumb. It's not going to happen like that. And I don't usually blame things. You know, me and you, Slick, we have this in common. I do not like to blame refs because that's a cop-out a lot of times. However, refs can
influence and they can make changes.
And how many times, Slick, did you hear on media? Oh, Detroit, it can finally take it somewhere. Detroit is this. We are happy that they're coming out of this. This is why in America, Slick, we hate when fucking social media and sports media talks about teams, because at that point, we know that has an influence, one in bets, one in games, and you cannot tell me that didn't happen in Detroit. Oh man. So either way, for you Detroit fans, I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen, Detroit fans. It's Slick. You can quote me on this. If I'm wrong, I'll eat those words. I'll take 3 shots of liquor online just to prove that I was wrong. You're gonna get your ass kicked in San Francisco. You know why? Because you were a good fucking story and you were a good business making, because it's Detroit, it's the Motown era, it was the working city era, blah blah blah. But San Fran is a better story and they have a better team. So you're gonna get your ass whooped in there. It's not gonna be close. I don't know why people are looking at this Slick like Jared Goff wasn't shredding. It wasn't like he was making the greatest passes. He did his job, but he also had talent around him to help him. Again, guys, we've known this. This is the same Jared Goff that performed the worst fucking Super Bowl against the Patriots. So stop acting like we are happy. Hey, sorry ass team finally got somewhere. That's cute. But Buck fans have been there before. You haven't even.
That's what I'm trying to say, dude. Is like we have a my friend messaged me. He's a Lions fan. He sent me a voice note. And it was like, I just can't believe we just won that. It was so tight. It was this, that, and that. You guys gave everything you got, and I'm so pleased that we're in this position. So I sent him a message back again. Yeah, man, I completely get where you're coming from. We both played for the Saints. He's one of the ex players on my team, and we're both chatting about it. And I was like, I know what it's like to be ridiculed because you supported a team that wasn't considered very good, because a lot of the team supports the Steelers when they were good, or the Seattle Seahawks when they go good. Because like most people's story in the UK starts by the first game they watch, and it's usually a Super Bowl, right? So they already starting in good stead, because most teams who pick a Super Bowl team, they're going to be good. They're going to be a good team for a few years. Not every team's going to turn into the Atlanta Falcons. Right. Not every team's going to turn into the Carolina Panthers and just go to the darkness straight away. Yes. A lot of teams like Rams or what have you, they're going to be competitive for years and years and years. So they kind of sit there with this kind of smug grin on their face that they've got their team's so much better. So you just picked a team that's fucking good, dude. Anyone can do that.
Exactly.
That's why we like seeing the Patriots lose, because now these fans have got to sit there and go, fuck, what do I do now?
Right. Now you see where the real fans stand. Like you said, I'm glad you brought Patriots up, because a lot of fans that I know that were Patriot fans, all of a sudden, like, well, did you watch the team? Well, I don't have time anymore. Oh, so you don't have time now that they're shit. But when they were good and you can rely on it.
They're watching, but they just say they don't watch it. I have a friend of mine who does this thing in fantasy football. It irritates the crap out of me. He's one of my close friends. Every freaking time we talk to each other, this is how Patriot fans would sound like to me. If he's shit and we bump into each other and we have a chat, and I was like, oh, I had your fancy league, you didn't do too good. And he'll be like, yeah, well, I drafted my team while I was hammered drunk.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go wrong. If you win, I was hammered drunk. I'm fucking badass. If you lose, well, I was hammered drunk. I didn't give a shit. And that's what they're doing. They do this thing where they go, oh, I'm not watching it, but trust and believe. The moment that team's good, they'll be like, Patriots Nation, let's go.
Well, either way, man, I just had to get that out of there, because so many Detroit fans were just, you could tell that. I get it.
You be happy.
Yeah.
Can't you just be happy?
Can't you just be happy and have class with it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just don't all of a sudden start, because another thing that you said, Slick, that Detroit fans don't get. What if this is your only year and you turn around like the fucking Falcons and lay an egg? Slick, this is how I know a lot of people don't watch football. It happens. That Atlanta Falcons team was set. People thought, well, they'll be back. They weren't. They were not the same. Detroit players, it doesn't matter.
They lost that OC. The OC became a head coach, and they just are limited.
If Ben Johnson leaves, you don't know what that means for your team. You don't understand. Just look at the Eagles. When they lost their coordinators, they went to shit because they didn't have an identity. Guys, Detroit, just take this and ride with it. One thing I can say about the Bucs community, the real Buck fans, Slick, like you and I, and like Rick, the dude, Salty Buck, we understand, hey guys, we're just gonna accept it for what it is at the moment and enjoy it. Because us Buck fans, we're not here talking about, we know what it's like to be in the dark ages. But when we did win, It wasn't.
The only
Yeah,
team
we
we
the
gave
shit.
shit to, let's face it, the only team we truly gave shit to was the punk ass Saints. Everyone else,
Exactly.
it was just like, yeah, we beat you. We move on. Yeah, we
Exactly.
probably gave a good bit of lip against the Kansas City Chiefs as well, I would say, just because of the measure of how we did it, and the media was so biased that we
Well,
didn't
yeah,
really
yeah.
give it a chance.
Yep.
It's just all that kind of stuff. But it's only people who are wronged us. Like, I don't have any ill will to the Lions because I think they're a good football team that have like a good at the moment. I like their coach. He still irritates me because he's a head coach of another team. But when he was talking about Baker and his halftime like little spiel that he did, and he was like, "It's a tie ball game. It's two badass teams going after each other." I was like, "Yeah, this guy gets it. This is like he knows that we're going to come and we're going to come correct and we're going to come after his team, and and that's part of his like vibe is like he's over aggressive and in his like personality and what have you. So it was really like I'd say probably the majority of fans, if you were to bump into them in person, they probably have way less banter and way less attitude or what have you, and they would just be humble. But when you get people on the internet, all of a fucking sudden, everyone grows an extra pair of nuts.
Oh yeah. As I got to quote one funny thing that Drake has said: "Trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers." Next thing, everybody in this case, Twitter fingers turn to so-called trigger fingers because Bama's want to start talking shit, saying the most ridiculous things. Yeah, we're a dynasty in the making. Are you out of your fucking mind? First of all, when they were saying, "Well, we shut Baker down," wait, Baker had 3 touchdowns and threw for almost 350 yards. What are you talking about? Your pass defense is literally the ass end of it. Mike Evans had his way once he stopped dropping the ball. And this is another guy. This is another reason why the narratives, I don't like the experts. If you watched it today, Slick, some of the narratives, now all of a sudden Jared Goff is going to go in and beat the fucking 49ers. Are you crazy? First of all,
I'm pleased for Jared Goff in the sense of like he was discarded by the Rams and he's kind of built this thing. So I quite like his story where it is, but I don't think I think he's an above average quarterback.
exactly.
That's what I would put him as. And he could win a Super Bowl if everything's set right.
Yeah.
Everything's right. Hey, we know that there are quarterbacks out there that's probably worse than Jared Goff that have won Super Bowl. So let's he could go win a Super Bowl, but everything's got to be right, I believe.
Hey, everything's got to be right, and they're playing the worst team possible because look, that scare, look, the way the 49ers played Green Bay is how the Bucs played the Panthers. It was close. They won it, but I guarantee you Shanahan is going to be like, "Oh, we're not going. Look, this is the NFC title. We're going to go and give them everything that we got." And the thing is, the 49ers have talent on both sides that can overwhelm Detroit. Detroit, again, the Hutchinson guy, I like him, but we got to be real. In that game, that sack, he got a sack because nobody was blocking him. What he fucking do?
When we look back at this game, there are things that are like things we could have done to help ourselves to be in better situations, and we can't just blame that on coaches. There's players not picking up a block. There was one I saw today. Was it why didn't Coach Bowles call a timeout when there was 27 or something like 38 seconds left on the clock in the fourth quarter, and they'd done their last kneel down? I was like, because the game was pretty much fucking done and they were in field goal position. Oh, but you never know. And I'm like, no, the game was fucking done. You're praying on a miracle at this point. But if you want to go down that road, fair enough.
No, I get it. I think it's just in a way people are doing that because sometimes it kind of does define both. Sometimes when it's almost like, and I hope this offseason he goes and understands great coaches know when to be aggressive and when to be calculated. Sometimes I think with Bowles it's a hit or miss. Today, like later in the second half, it was a super miss. But let's get to the game. But before we do, I got to play this because this is another one. This guy is another reason why a lot of people want Detroit to lose, including me. Guys, look, I really hope 49ers throw at least 40 on these bastards. This fucking guy right here.
My shit. That boy say, boy, you don't watch film. Why call a play within 2 minutes of the game? Watch film on it and send it to me. And I tossed that bitch back at you, too. I hope you got it, too. Make sure you send that one with the jersey, too.
Yeah, first of all, his new nickname now is Coochie Juice because he's just a bitch. He's a soft little punk ass sucker. And first of all, like the pass, get off Baker's tip. It was a tipped fucking pass out of his hands, and you caught an interception, and you were silent after that. Shut the fuck up. And I would love, if anybody out there knows him, you can AJ turn up on Twitter, Instagram, DM me if you're really about it, if you want to talk about it, because you just a flatline bitch. That's why you got tossed around every other team. It's like guys like that is why, Slick, over here we go, okay, Detroit fans, this is why people want you to get your ass kicked now. This is why the social media darling bullshit gets on my nerves. But CJ, like Coochie Juice, shut up. You didn't do shit. You got that one interception, and then he thought he was cute by giving it back to Baker. Baker is cool, but Baker was still torching y'all asses. People don't realize Coochie Juice still was getting shredded. I don't understand, Slick. If you didn't, that didn't change the outcome of the entire game. We, like you said, we were bouncing back. We were one of the best drives to where I think that Baker, you resign him, is when we were down and we tied him before the end of the first half, 91 yards. Baker had showed you why he was that guy. And like you said, Dan wasn't no fool. That's why he made those remarks. He was like, he's a raw guy, but I guarantee you he's probably sitting there like, hey guys, don't let this fucking team get the best of you. They're still hungry. See,
I remember when we went to the playoffs, how I felt, and I don't think I was cocky for 1 minute because I just couldn't believe the ride I was on.
Yeah,
you know, I got cocky after we won because that's when you get cocky. You get cocky because people say, "Oh, you weren't talking shit before you won." I was like, "No, because I didn't win anything. Why would I do that? That makes no sense." It's not me who. Nothing I do will make a difference in the game. I could be as rah and aggressive, or it won't make a difference. So I'm going to bask when I win, not when I'm fucking potential like going into a game. I'm not talking no shit.
I mean,
again, when people give me my predictions, I'll give an honest prediction. But I can tell you, when I watched that Super Bowl, I was biting my nails, even though we were comfortably in hand, going, you never know when that kid's going to turn it on, and all of a sudden it's boom, touchdown, and we're like, oh shit, because you never know with that dude. You never know with that Mahomes boy. It never happened, and my wife was there like, I think you've won this. And I'm like, I don't know. Not until that's in zero digits. In 0 digits, I will not fucking premature celebrate. I'm not. I think that's the coach in me.
That is the coach in me too. I'm the person. That's why, Slick, I'm like, wait a minute. It could be 21-0 the first quarter. In my mind, it ain't enough. But AJ, it's 21-0. It's the first quarter. I don't give a shit. I need another 21 points. And then by then, it's 42 halftime, AJ. Coach AJ, wait a minute. Why isn't it 63-0? And there's still time on the clock. That's why I believe in putting teams. You know what I think on offense the issue was? Canales went back into the turtle shell mode. And when
he did get away with the run for most part. I think sometimes the problem with Dave Canales is if he gets early success with the run, he really likes to continue to run.
Yep.
And then it's not like, I would say, if you want to beat a Dave Canales team, let his team get a few cheap yards running the football, because he will run the football all day then, because he thinks it's going to come back. And he thinks it's going to come back. There are times when we were running, when the time was running out. And don't get me wrong, we scored a touchdown on that drive, but I'm like, guys, we can't afford to take this shit. We've got to. And then people catching the ball and just going straight down. I'm like, you've got to fight to get to the edge.
Yeah.
You've got to get to Sammy's sideline. What are we fucking doing here? We've got to get up the field quick. We don't want to burn any timeouts.
And another thing, too, Canales did not do what he did against the Eagles, the Jaguars, or the Packers. He didn't shred the defense part on both sides of the ball. You've always said this, horizontal plays and then vertical. He was not – there was – again, I know people laugh at me, but this is why I say crossing routes would have been effective. You know this for certain. It's like
I think a shallow cross would work. I don't know about the deep crosses because just of how well they were harassing the quarterback. So
yeah,
I think a good shallow cross or a dig or something like that.
A shallow with Palmer would have been effective. You know why I say that? Because they were determined and hell bent on not letting Godwin and Evans beat them. So with that being said, and then when they did do their blitzes with their corners, the problem was Baker saw it, but he didn't have enough time to release it because all the receivers were trying to develop long routes. You in that situation in a hostile environment, you always got to have. I'd have a speed guy on it, like you said, shallow. That's my blanket right there. Okay, if you want to,
you got to at least have two people safety valves.
Yeah,
in your read, and you really want them to be within the framework of your read. So if you've got like a high read here, you got another read here. Then your peripheral vision's going to see the other person be open. So you're like, I'll just take that, because you don't want him to go, and then he's got to go here for the dump off or the shallow read, the safety valve or whatever.
Yep.
You want it to be in front of him, so it's going to come into it. That's why crossing routes are good. Or out in breaking routes that can come across the field.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I mean by that, because a lot of the sacks typically, not the Hutchinson shit, to me that doesn't count. That was a broken coverage. But when they were blitzing, they were typically using branch. They were using a corner. They should have always had a play where, like you said, where a player is immediately, okay, if this happens, you get the ball out quick. I do think that they got away from, and then when they got away from Palmer earlier, Palmer was gonna get ready to have himself a day, but of course Evans took over. But again, I do think Canales, when the running game started going, like you said, he started falling in love with it. But also he wasn't getting creative. I honestly,
I didn't play action out of it either.
Yep, not enough play action. And to be quite honest, with all respect, I would have fucked them up with the spread. Detroit would have died without the spread, because now I would have thinned out the linebacking core. They got to pick up somebody, and they got to, more than likely, if I'm going to run a spread, they have to double Evans. Godwin was getting open. If you go back, people don't realize, go back and watch that game. Godwin was getting separation. A lot of the receivers were, but typically, unfortunately, Baker didn't see it. But I would have ran a spread. I would have been running spreads, short dink and dunks. Man, the offense just didn't start getting, like you said, the 3 and outs earlier was starting to affect the mojo. And I said before, the offense had to be the hero, Bucs fans, because when this Bucs offense gets going, the Bucs defense doesn't have to think as much. They can just pin their ears back and go. They couldn't do that. Like you said, this was a tight game, but eventually the defense started to get tired. Now, I'm not going to lie. Dean, to me, he has to redeem himself this season, because that catch in the end zone that dropped catch was inexcusable. That's literally in your hands. And I get it. If they had hands, they'd be receivers. But that's one of those. You are paid. He just got a bag. How do you drop that? To me,
I mean, you could argue there's a couple. We've got a wide receivers. Our number one wide receiver dropped a fair few doozies too. So I'll let the DB, who's not known for catching, get away with
it. Mike Evans made up for it. Dean didn't make up for it. It's like when Dean.
Yeah, but you're not always going to get balls that land in your lap like that at DB.
No, but Dean, to me though, it's like when he's hurt, it's like when he has an off night, he's going to be off, and then he's going to get injured. It's almost as one of those, oh shit. And then
I think he had an off night though. I thought he was really good up until, and then they did because they really went for him, and I think he did a really good job.
Yeah.
The issue was once he went out, Zion McCullum came in, and he did not play as well, and that's expected. It is what it is. He has to get better if he wants to be a starter in this league.
I honestly though still think that Bowles, and I know that Cushing is a part of his thing, but that was the nail in the coffin, because it's almost as if, like, Bowles, you didn't learn from the first encounter. They're killing us in the middle, and the Detroit they're not a super deep passing team. They want to kill you with the short and intermediate routes to keep it going. And that's what Amon-Ra was doing. I told you they should have been jamming him more. They should have taken turns. Izzy, you jam him this game. I
wasn't worried about Amon-Ra. It was Sam Deporta.
Laporta, yeah, he was dangerous, but
he was always. I mean, don't get me wrong. At some point, his night just stopped. They even stopped going his way.
Yep.
They just didn't bother with him anymore. And then it was the Amon-Ra St. Brown show, and that's probably an adjustment in the scheme, and that probably allows them. The thing is, what people don't realize is once you adjust one thing, you've got to you're constantly adjusting to the adjustment, and then a lot of people don't realize that that's how it works. The problem was what we got to a point where the defense was really struggling and the offense wasn't really helping, so it just crumbled.
Yeah, it did. The offense didn't dominate and take over as they should have. You're right. Now, I will say the offense was able to match to a certain extent, but by the time they started matching it, as you said, defense started getting depleted and they were getting tired. But that's why I still think that had they jammed, if you think about it, for the most part, their offense started killing us when they were getting passes up the middle, when we were leaving them wide open and giving a little space, because that's when they did have any cushion, the first thing receivers did was do a little fake out and then cut into the middle of the field or shallow crossing route themselves. I honestly think if the Bucs played more man, we would have gotten more sacks because Canty was balling. Canty was bullying that line. Vita, of course, was doing his job, but Canty was killing. If there is a silver lining for that pass rush, Canty was balling.
Yeah, Canty was doing pretty well. It was the outside guys that really struggled. They really a difference. One of the tackles is really good. The issue was it's the interior we should have took advantage of, because there was Ragnar was beat up a little bit. We should have really kind of squeezed down on him, took advantage of him being potentially being a bit of a donkey. We didn't, and yeah, that's all it wrote. But the silver linings. The silver lining is KJ Britt is definitely the replacement for Devin White.
Yeah,
he's a great thumper. He can blitz. He's not as good as Devin White at blitzing, but that's not. I can live with that. It just means you got to go and find yourself one straight up cat that can blitz. Edge rusher that can really go for it. And I think you get that in free agency. I don't think you go and draft another, because you can't count on Yaya Diaby to take that big of a step to be an elite pass rusher in his second year. You can expect him to be a good pass rusher that's going to get like 10 to 12 sacks. About 10 sacks. 10 sacks, no one's going to complain, right? Or even if he gets 8 sacks, development, it's good. I think he got about 6.5, maybe 7. I'm not entirely sure.
7.5 regular season.
7.5. So if he finishes on 9 next year, it's not the magic number. 10's the magic number, right?
Right.
I think that's where you spend your money. I think you spend your money on a pass rusher. Whichever one's coming out, bring him in, get him out. Because Shaq, I think Shaq's done, and I got nothing against the guy. I think the world of him. He's gave us many years of service and some absolute great play from him as well. I just think it's coming to an end, and I don't know if he'd restructure to a cheaper deal that would keep him in the team.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree with everything you just said. We have to get an edge rusher, but we also need another safety, because again, Ryan Neal, if you're reading this, I don't want you to be employed. It's not that I personally dislike you, but I personally dislike your fucking skills and coverage. Good God. Laporta had that in one move, and this man literally, that was another momentum killer, because he had him dead to right, and he literally takes the worst angle. Ryan Neal should not be playing next year. If you want to play, just don't play for the Bucs. He's a liability. He was God.
There was that one. It was him. And there was another one. There was 2. I can't remember, where they're coming across and their leverage is so poor that they just speed run into it. They don't. We always say when I coach tackling, you've got to slow down to a degree. You can't go full speed, because your body control is much less when you're at full speed. Now, athletes at that level can go a bit faster, of course they can, but I do what's called choppy feet, where you just literally chop your feet real quick, and you control that balance, and then you can come to, and you do that probably about 4 yards before you're about to make the tackle, and this allows you to keep your leverage, so you don't just go past them, which is what he did. He just needs to stop the brakes. He stops the brakes, and you go past him. He's like, meet me. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all. You just put the brake. You put the brake. You just slow down enough that he's just going to go straight past you. There's nothing you can do. You can't make up for that. And
yeah,
Devin White's got a habit of doing that too. He just charges straight in. And yeah, don't get me wrong. If you get a piece of that guy, you're probably leveling him. But if you don't get him, you look terrible because you've literally just let a guy just slow down a little bit, and then he's off to the races. And then you're relying on another safety to come, or somebody to chase it down. And I tell you what. JTS, that guy could probably play safety at his speed.
He did, yeah, because he's the one who caught him, and that's what I'm saying. Oh my God, bro. Yeah,
JTS, if he can ever figure out how to use that body and manipulate his speed and control and contort his body in space, my lord, he will be a problem.
He definitely.
He's a good 1-2 punch right now. You bring in Kansi with the power and the aggression. You bring him in with the speed, and you rotate those two. I think you can get a good thing going on between the two. But he needs to learn how to contort his body and be able to manipulate the space.
I agree. I think you're right on that. But that's another thing in the draft. We do need another corner. We need another physical corner. I want a physical corner, and the reason why I want Carlton and Dean to understand, like, hey, you earned your position, but that doesn't mean I want them to stay hungry. And besides, we need depth at corner. We really do. We need another physical guy. So just in case if Bowles, because if I think, like you say, when they go out, maybe Bowles just goes, okay, I don't want to get beat deep. Have that third guy that can go, okay, even if these guys go out, this is my for sure guy. But and another thing, like you said, we need another safety. I said this again. Yes, we need another safety that complements Winfield. In my personal opinion, I want a coverage safety. I want
a pure free safety.
Yes, I want a pure free safety. I say that because we know that Winfield can do everything, but we need somebody just in case if our corners are a little slacky. That safety is a ball hawk. We need another Mike Edwards. That's what we need. Mike Edwards. We need another Mike Edwards, a ball hawk, someone who had a knack for finding where the coverage was going to be. Delaney did a decent job, but I honestly would rather have Delaney play his natural corner position. He wasn't terrible, so I could see him staying around as like
a depth. He'll come back as depth because you want your returners to be your depth pieces unless they're superstars, right?
Exactly.
So the ones that you want to replace are going to be guys you want. I need to see more. They seem to be pretty set on their defensive line. I would like to see Greg Gaines come back again. To be honest,
I'd like to see him.
I think he's really good. Gaines, Vida, and Kansi, and then they can throw in Logan Hall when they want to go in a four-man lineman set. That seems to be their shtick, and it seems to work.
Golston?
At the moment, I would say William Golston's he's done. I have not seen I haven't seen him play as much this year at all. He was the starter last year. He's a rotational piece this year. He looks like he's on his way out unless he wants to continue being a rotational piece, which I have no problem with. I've got no problem with that. I think he's a bit long in the tooth now, though, because I believe him and Levante David are currently the two longest servers on the team.
Yeah. It's like, remember back in his day when he was doing the damn thing, his frame is what made him unique, because people don't realize, I think Golston is like 6'7". So he had the long body, but like you said, now it's catching up. But yeah, I truly do think now, the pass rush, of course.
Yeah, he's 6'6", and he's 281 pounds. So he's that perfect hybrid of play DT. Because I remember when we had a four-man line, he would be
DT,
reserve free tech. He's too small to play nose. And obviously, we know one thing about Gerald McCoy is he would not change from free tech to anything else. He played free tech, and he exclusively played free tech until he went to the Panthers, and then he would play other positional groups. He played as a defensive end, and wasn't as good as it. But Golston, he's a defensive end in some schemes, and he's a defensive tackle in others.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and that's why I think eventually the
2015. So yeah, he's the year after Levante David.
Levante, yep. And hopefully, though, Levante comes back, because like you say, if he retires now, you might have to consider drafting a linebacker like earlier, because he's your now. Let's just say it's all as well. Levante says, I saw what I like, and I truly think he will. I think
He
Levante,
played amazing. I was really impressed with Levante. He had the, the biggest shock for me was Antoine Winfield's regression in the playoffs. Like, he was very quiet. He didn't play poorly. He just didn't play great.
he
Like,
did.
he wasn't accustomed to what we normally see from him. It was he kind of exploded at the wrong time.
Yeah, I think he was gassed. I honestly think when Jabril ran, it wasn't that Winfield couldn't catch him because he picked the right angle. I just think he was winded. And Jabril, and again, they weren't running that much, but this is what happens. This is why I don't want the cushion. Cushion just leaves your defense out there too long to get winded. For me, it was boom or bust. And at that point, Golston, and I know, like you said, Slick, it's sometimes easier for us fans to say that take the risk. But sometimes, Bowles, you gotta take the risk. That's why your buddy Arians got the risk. He was risking no biscuit, and it was worth it. Sometimes you have got to say, fuck it. This cushion shit is killing us right now. We just got to go all out. If it doesn't work, at least I tried. Because you never know. What if it works? What if the Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown? You know why that happened? They gave him space. If Zion was in his face, I truly think that would at least bought him some time, because Kancey was still cooking. But because that they had space, it gave Amon-Ra a chance to run behind his receiver, and that's how McCullum was a step behind him, and he got that throw. That was the nail in the coffin for the most part. That's when I said, shit, it's going to be hard for this Bucs team to come back. But I will say this. Evans was dropping passes, but he sure made up for it. That's why I gave him a pass. That catch, when he was the way he adjusted his body at the goal line, I said, damn, that is the Mike. Mike Evans will drop some passes, but he sure shit will come back and redeem them.
Yeah, his drop passes do not go to him. But I just want to give a shout out to one of our guys. I'm out, guys. Enjoyed your commentary. See you next season. James Matz, anytime. You're more than welcome to come into us. We love it. And even if sometimes, like, guys, you don't have to agree with us. Mm-mm. We don't think we're 100% right. We just have our opinion, and we like to bounce off each other of different opinions. There have been plenty of times where I have an opinion and AJ's disagreed with it, and I brought him round. And there's been plenty of times that AJ's had an opinion that he brought me around to his way of thinking. And it's because the debate that we have is so good, in the respect. That's the one thing we got to put here, is the respect. No one's wrong. You just got to respect each other's opinion. Now, sometimes people come out with some outlandish stuff, because we've had that on this show before, haven't we?
Man, don't get me started.
Maybe the Buccaneers should go and how many first round picks should we use to go and get Sean Payton? Wow, I remember that one. That was straight face.
I just thought they were trolling at that point, because there's no fucking way. Even the Caleb Williams ones was out of the question. And I love the fact that this is why I tell people, just continue to watch. The most important times of college is at the end of the seasons. I think people don't truly understand that. The middle and the end, when shit gets real.
Just like in the NFL, what you do at the end of the season, are you gonna be a folding team, or are you gonna be a team that keeps fighting? Are you gonna be that?
Yep, and mentally, but also it's college guys can't handle the scrutiny as NFL guys, and it shows. Caleb Williams.
I think some of them can, obviously, but that's part of the process, right?
Right.
You've got to show that you can, because if you want to show that you're an NFL caliber quarterback, your decorum has to be shit hot. Yeah. You can't get upset. You can show emotion, but you can't get angry, upset. Like, it was so funny with the whole Caleb Williams thing. So I saw so many Bucs fans turn around and say we should suck and tank to go get him. And I'm like, that guy isn't built for it yet. I'm yet to see it. I'm not saying he can't play football. I'm just not convinced, and I'm not willing to burn out a season, upset potentially my entire football team, because they know we fucking tanked. Because they know when you're tanking. They can tell. They're not stupid. How many people want to be a part of that? Do you think Mike Evans comes back? No.
No,
Do you think
Levante.
Christian Wirth comes back? No. Do you think Levante David comes back? No. Do you think Antoine Winfield Jr. comes back? No.
No.
They show that the ownership is checked out. You are kind of fans look at tanking as like a long-term picture thing. Football fans aren't looking what happens in 5 years fucking time. They're looking at right now, what they're a part of. I don't give a fuck about year 5. I want to know what's happening in year 1, what's
That's
happening
right.
in year 2. I can give a
Yep.
shit what you projecting. Because you can
Exactly.
get it wrong and then I'm still fucking stuck in misery.
Well, more than that, if we fuck around and we quit and there's a takeover, I might not be here for year 5. I might be gone by the very next year. As you said, it's still a business. These people have families. These players got families. They can't afford to get fired. You don't do that. And it's never a guarantee, guys, that you're going to get the guy that you want. You know how many people I thought the Bucs were going to draft this year in 2020 last year? And that shit didn't go the way that it was. And in a way, I'm glad. You have to respect the process and trust it. Look at it now. We're gonna have free agents hungry to come here. If you don't think so, Buck fans, this is a team that started with Baker coming in after the great Brady. These players out there saying, "Oh shit, we got something here. We got a coach that he knows how to stick."
If you're a defensive guy, you want to go and get coached.
You want to go to bowls, right? Or if you're an offensive guy that needs to be polished, you see what Canales has done with Baker. You might go, "Oh man, he could do that for me too on offense. This is the guy that I want to do this with." What if we get a running back out there that says, "Hey, I like his scheme.
I think we'll draft a running back. I think what you're going to get is offensive lineman.
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
with
me,
that Baker's going to have so much more time. With me, I can make that run game better because Rashad White's shown he has the ability to take over on occasion. Right? He is an every down back. He just needs an every down backs line.
Yes, I agree 100%. Can you imagine? Let's peep this. Imagine if Rashad White was there. Imagine if Rashad White had Ali Marpet and Jensen in that lineup. Oh man, he would kill. But again,
it's a different team. We really don't know what it's going to look like next year. So I'm excited for him because he's only in year 2. He just missed out on the 1,000 yards, and yeah, special running backs probably would have got the 1,000 yards. But running the football isn't just his thing. He also catches the football extremely well.
Well, that's his gift. When I see him in a screen, I know it's going somewhere 90% of the time. Think about that. That's like his 7th touchdown on the screen. It goes all the way back to the Titans when we played them, and then he got a screen in Atlanta. Then he got a screen. He always get a screen. That guy is elusive, and that's how you should utilize him. That's why you might
definitely out of the back. Those kind of out of the backfield passes. Absolutely, I completely agree.
Now that's like you said. If we're gonna draft the back, draft me a fucking bruiser. I need a north and south hard-nosed runner so he could be the guy when White goes out. Okay, we need you to pick these tough yards up. We want you to grind it out. And then sometimes you can use a bruising back like that as a decoy. That's where the play action might really set you off because typically your north and south guys are decent blockers. So at that point, oh shit, we don't know.
He's getting better at that too. I mean, he did cock up once. And that's a good English phrase, a good cock up. Yeah, he did cock up once, and it kind of we were affected by it. There are things we got to do a little bit better. I think Baker's got to be a little bit better at controlling the protections. He could have done a better job at that. But hey, it is what it is. But I've been doing this thing where I've been looking at teams because everyone's kind of talking about firing bowls. That's kind of been the thing that I'm kind of fighting against. And so I'm going to just insert a team randomly throughout our broadcast of, are the Los Angeles Rams a good team? Honestly, you don't think they're a good team? Okay,
no.
The 4 best teams in the NFC.
The 4 best teams in the NFC.
4 best teams in the NFC.
San Fran, Detroit. You can't even on paper and by default you have to say Dallas. And then after that, you honestly, because of the end of the season, you can put the Bucs at number 4.
I think the Bucs are the number 14 in the NFC, and we have the opportunity to be better. That's my point. So what I'm trying to say here is Sean McVay is considered in NFL worlds as one of the better coaches in football. Whether you disagree with it or not, he's considered that.
Yes.
So we go back to 2018, and they go to the NFC. They lose the Super Bowl. The following year, they don't make the playoffs. And the reason I'm saying this is I'm going to give you an answer. I'm going to give you the quick rundown of what happened. They went 9-7 the following year. They were 3rd in the NFC West. It just shows how good the NFC West was at that time. And they don't make the playoffs. In 2020, they win their wild card game. They lose in the divisional round against the Packers. They get smashed by the Packers. In fact, they win. Their record is 10-6. Then they go into the following season. Well, we all know what's going to happen here. This is where they go to the Super Bowl. They cash in their chips, and they put in a Super Bowl team, 12-5, and they go and win the Super Bowl begrudgingly against a Bucs team that almost had them dead to rights. The following year, they go 5-12. This year, obviously, we know they lose in the division at the wild card round at 10-7. Should they get rid of their head coach?
No, absolutely.
Thank you. And then that's the exercise of what I'm doing. I know that Coach Bowles hasn't won a Super Bowl, but he's in the similar vein of some of these coaches of getting to the playoffs, winning divisional championships, and now winning playoff games. That experience is going to build and build and build. And yes, the Buccaneers will have to make a decision soon. If Dave Canales doesn't get taken this year, which I don't think he will, nothing against him as a player. I think it's too early to give a guy who's only got 1 year of OC ability to go and say, run my entire team. That's a big step in responsibility. And I don't blame him for looking for it because the money's completely different, right? You're literally earning triple in some cases. He's probably on a contract that probably pays him 700 grand. He's probably going to earn 3.5 million minimum if he gets an NFL head coaching. So if he gets that for 2 years, he may never need to work again for the rest of his life.
Yep.
And you can't blame them if they're going for it because you got it. But even deep down, they might know that they aren't ready for that. But they're like, fuck it, I'll take the challenge on, see what I can make out of it. Worst comes to worst, I get 1 year and I've got 3.5 million. Done. So that was the Los Angeles Rams. Are the Green Bay Packers a good team?
I would say they are a team on the rise. That's what I'll say. They're a team on the rise.
I completely agree. But they are a perennial playoff team that should they fire their head coach?
Hell no. That's stupid.
Here we go. So let's have a look at the Green Bay Packers of 2020. We all know what happened the year before. They go to the playoffs. They lose in the NFC Championship game, and they lose the NFC Championship game to us in 2020.
Yep.
This is all with Matt LaFleur. Obviously, they do have a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback at that point in time. And I think their quarterback management has been fantastic because Jordan Love does look good. He does. He looks like he could be the future. And this was his first real opportunity at looking like he could do the job. They go 13-4 the following season in 2021, and they lose to the 49ers in a 10-13 game.
Yep.
Following season, they go 8-9. It's their worst season. We keep winning, but we had an 8-9 season ourselves. We know what that looks like. They don't make the playoffs this year. They win a playoff game and they lose a playoff. They lose a playoff game to the 49ers in a game where they were only 3 points out. When you look at the optics of it, they should not get rid of Matt LaFleur. My point being is, when you have success, you can't just cash in your chips and hope the next coach is going to do the best.
Can't do that.
Get at least at minimum 1 losing season, but I would say I want to see 2 losing seasons. Then I know you're incapable.
Right.
I know for a fact you're incapable because you've had Bowles would, in theory, at that point have 4 years at the helm. Losing season, but we win a divisional round. Let's be honest. Everyone turns around and said we won the division on a losing record. We won the division on a losing record because we decided we're going to go down the route of resting players.
Yep.
I'm 100% sure that we would have gone 9-8 that season, and we went 9-8 this season. Didn't win a playoff game last time. We won a playoff game this time. If he shits the bed with the money that he's got, a real question has to be asked. But I'll tell you one thing. If that offense is humming and Dave Canales is still with us, which I generally believe he will be, I wouldn't be surprised if the next change of Buccaneers head coach will be Dave Canales.
Agreed.
Especially if he's being sought after by everyone else. Because you can turn around and go, boss, you can have this team.
Yeah.
And you can't argue it. The reason I say all this stuff is Bucs fans. If you've been down the road with us for a fair few years, we kept Dirk Cutter on for 4 fucking years, and he gave us nothing. He gave us a 9-7, a 9-7 record. What was that? 9-7? Yeah,
2016.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, a 9-7 record, and that was the hope that it was going to be something better, and it never continued. And the only reason he kept it high is because he was the quarterback's OC in his first
year. He
year.
was popular. Which Detroit, again, think about this, Detroit fans. Just because you have a good surprising season, that shit, the NFL is about adjustments, because that's what happened to Dirk Cutter. They adjusted to his shit, and Mike Smith's defense was shit.
Oh, God.
When you get adjusted to, for you people out there who don't know the game of football, these are 2 people who coach. Adjustments happen, especially at the highest level. That's why certain things can always get figured out quick. Do you remember, Slick, when the Wildcat was running something in the NFL with the Dolphins? And that shit was hot for a hot second. And then what happened? Belichick and them figured that, not Belichick, but the rest of the league said, all right, we know how to stop this shit. Again, it's not guaranteed, as you just said, Buck fans. And here's another thing that can that supports Slick. The Bucs got better last year. We got to the playoffs. We limped in there. Cool. This year, this Bucs team, a better record and a better promise and more promising. Now remember, guys, both didn't.
We obliterated the Eagles, guys. That was the 2nd seed in the NFC, the 2nd seed, yeah, and we were competitive till the fucking end. That means this team is a top-notch NFC team. It just needs a little bit of finesse to get it right.
That's
now,
right.
A returning quarterback in a scheme that he already knows is a good thing.
Returning Mike Evans.
Should be.
If Mike Evans returns.
Yep. Returning Mike Evans. Let's say everyone comes back that's supposed to be back, that everyone kind of wants to be back, let's face it.
Exactly.
Coach Bowles spends a bit of money and goes and gets himself a bit of talent. We have the same kind of a similar kind of draft where the first 3 picks are fire. And I'm talking, it's got to be I think safety. I go safety. I'm going offensive. I'm going either offensive guard, but I'm definitely center is my guy. Center is my guy. And then a speedster in the 4th round. I like it. Wide receiver, just so you can take it over the top. I don't think we need to draft any more tight ends for a while. I think we're pretty set at tight end. And maybe a running back at wherever they may fall.
Well, I was gonna say I was gonna flip it. I was gonna say you can always find a speed receiver in the 5th or 6th round. Look at what we did with Palmer. Like you said, find someone with that speed that maybe need a little bit of work on hands, but he'll be.
And you're going to have him with another year under his belt.
Yep.
All these players that have got all this experience, you've got Cody Mark with another year under his belt. If you can get that center, that would be great. I think they're going to bring back Stinney because I don't think he'll cost too much.
I don't think so either.
Here's the big thing. Go get the best pass rusher in football in free agency. You can draft a safety 1st round if you wanted. There's no guarantee that if you draft a pass rusher in your 1st round that they're going to be anything in their first. Adrian, look at some of these pass rushers. Look at the ones that Nolan Turner.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and
sacked by our guy.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, we got to be smart on that because pass rushers aren't cheap. So you got to find one where he's still within his prime years, but he's not going to cost the bank, because we still got to make sure Evans is fed. We got to make sure Baker. We got to make sure Winfield and Wirfs. Those guys are going to be. But like you said, if we get if the Bucs can get an above average pass rusher to help. And then, like you said, you could still draft the edge rusher in the draft later on if something's good there. If you can go, oh, okay, this guy has the potential to where he doesn't need to start yet, but when he comes in, he can make an impact. Okay. Again, like you said, if the Bucs get
let's have a snoop at the free agency, like right now.
Yeah,
some of these people get re-signed, some of these people won't. Josh Allen, Jacksonville Jaguars will command a big salary.
Oh, absolutely. I'd say, what do you think?
He's a little bit too young.
Yeah, he'll demand.
He would be the jewel because he is the number one guy.
Yep.
The next guy up is Brian Burns, Carolina Panthers. Yeah, he's pretty good too, but he's the same draft class, I believe.
Yeah.
Going down the more of an aged veteran, Danielle Hunter.
From the Vikings?
Vikings.
I would take him. Him and Cansey and Vita, that would be. I don't think he'll command a lot. He'll command a decent amount.
I'm not entirely sure his age. I'd have to look it up.
I think he's like 27, 28.
Look, it's going to come up in a second. He was drafted in 2015, so he's going to be close to 30.
I'd say we can get 2 to good 3 years out of him.
So sign him to a 3-year deal.
Yep.
The money goes down over the years. I think that could work. I think that could be the guy. Genuinely think that could be the guy.
Yeah.
I think that would be my target. But let's have a little look at the others and see if there's anyone else. I don't know who this guy is. I've never heard of him, to be brutally honest. Bryce Huff from the New York Jets. I honestly never heard that name before.
Huff's okay. He's all right.
Let's have a little look at him. I think he's quite young. I'm guessing he's young. And then we got Chase Young.
I'm not. I think Chase. I don't know. And then another thing is his maturity, not just as a person, but on the field. He's another Joe Trianca, but the difference is he uses bull rush, but he gets finessed all the time. He's got to get his fundamentals together. So
Darius Smith.
That would be nice. That would be nice. But I'm sold on Hunter.
Leonard Floyd.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I'm still sold on Hunter because, like you said, he's a veteran, he's still good, and he would complement Cansey and Vita, and then that could help Yaya as well. So I wouldn't mind a Hunter, but you are right. If you get a pass rusher, we'll have the money to afford. You can afford Hunter, and he's a good fit. He would be good because it wouldn't break us. We can't get Allen. We can't get Allen. He's too expensive. He's going to command like Von Miller money when he went to the Rams. But it did get him a Super Bowl. But again, Buck fans, what Slick and I are saying, your Bucs this season were ahead of schedule. And being ahead of schedule means, oh, shit, I could be that piece. Oh, shit, we can do these things. It happens all the time, and it builds momentum. Detroit was the same last year. When they kept the Green Bay Packers from getting in the playoffs, that is when everybody knew that Detroit was on notice and saying, oh, okay, they came to play. And Campbell said, guys, now next season, we're going to be ready. Bowles can do that for you guys. Again, he's not as colorful as Dan. You can't worry about that. As long as his actions and his schemes are colorful on the fucking field, and look at the defense. We already know he can draft. You guys got to remember, he and Light are the ones that help choose these players. Can you imagine if he gets, let's say if he knocks it out of the park again, like you said, and gets, I dare to say, a Winfield-esque type safety to complement him. Let's say he gets another corner. Let's say that he gets, let's say if he finds a diamond in the rough edge rusher. that can not start immediately, but will be hella good. Again, guys, there's all these pieces here. Now, there was something floating around. Somebody said maybe we could get back Whitehead.
Yeah, I saw that because his contract's up. It depends on the money because I think you're going to end up paying Winfield probably that kind of 15 to 17 mil a year.
Yeah,
because he's one of the top safeties in football.
yeah.
And then I would say Whitehead's going to command not the same, but it's going to be 10 to 15. It's going to be in that ballpark.
It depends though. He might.
His last contract was averaging 14 and a half. So
yeah, but I mean, he didn't have a 14 and a half. What if he said, I'll do like 9 million for like 3 years?
It depends on how much money we got, but I would say go down the route of getting the pass rusher first.
Oh, agreed. That's priority number one.
Getting a pass rusher is huge. You can take a safety, and you can we limped with some of the guys that we got. I guarantee if you go and draft somebody in the first round at safety, they're gonna be starting.
I agree, and they will help, and it will almost instantly help because we need to just go up. Trust me, guys. Anything from Ryan Neal is a step, is a much bigger step. That's three steps.
You never know. I'm just going to quick look at Mike Edwards. I don't know when his contract is up, but
man, look,
Edwards is always a better depth piece to come in and just take it.
Exactly.
I never saw it. When he had that opportunity to start, he never stole the spotlight. He did get injured a few times though, but he's just one of those players that just has that talent to find the ball.
No, I do think we do. If you draft a safety, you draft them either the first or third round if you have it. But I do agree, second round you have to go with a guard. A center. Because our center, if that center can be average, that makes the line a lot better. You're right. Hainsey, I like his effort, but Hainsey at best is a decent center. He's decent. He's not good.
He's one of those guys that if you're not stressed if he has to come in and play, but you're not raving about it.
Right. It's one of those he'll do. He'll do. But if you could get a piece in the
Mike Edwards is free. And he cost $3 million last year, so you could easily sign him if you can get the pass rusher for the right price, and you can get Edwards, and you go and draft a safety. Now you're really cooking with gas on the defensive side of the football.
You're cooking. You're cooking now. Yes, sir. Because like you said, I'd still draft the safety just in case.
But you got to look at the long-term future of your team, and I think getting another safety does that because you can't keep relying on free agents to fill everywhere. You need to get key positions right.
Yeah, you want to build, and
also we know that Mike Edwards is better off the bench than he is as a starter. He did get injured a few times in the season that he did have his opportunity to start, but statistically, you see that guy come in, it's almost like he has like a hunger to show that he's something. I don't know how he's been playing it. Hang on, I'm gonna have a quick look at Mike Edwards. I did not look at what he's been doing this season. So
I think he's got a couple of picks this season with the Chiefs. I think he does have a couple of picks.
Let's have a look. Let's have a little snoop on him. I'm just wondering how much he started, that kind of thing as well. So he has 1 INT, 1 sack.
Oh, so he all right. Shit, when he's with the Bucs, he was getting
he did better. The Super Bowl season, 11 combined tackles. That's insane. 11 tackles, but he got two interceptions. The following year, 46 tackles, 3 interceptions. And the year that he started, 82 tackles, 1 sack, and 2 INTs. One of them being returned for a touchdown.
Yep. So I agree with you on that one. We still draft, but the pass rush to me is the priority, and we can't have more than enough because I honestly, if you can't swing it, get 2 pass rushes in the draft because you want to see what you can work with. But down the line, though, I do think that you're right. Second round, you go get that center. And there will be a decent amount of linemen, especially centers, coming out this year's draft.
He only started for Kansas City 5 times.
Yeah. But maybe he would want to come back and work. Maybe he plays better under a bowl scheme. So
absolutely, this is what I think. Bringing him back as a depth piece, if he hasn't had that great of a season, you might get him for a little bit cheaper. And this is what I mean. You bring that other guy in. You bring a new guy. You bring a new guy in through the draft. You go and get that center. You go and draft another pass rusher who can learn under the new guy as well. So then you've got DRB with 3 years left on his contract. You've got JTS who's still there. Probably don't have to worry about Patrick O'Connor or anything like anyone like that. You've got the pieces that you're ready to go, and that's why I think your marquee signing that's a free agent outside of what the team's that's not a re-sign has to be a pass rusher. It has to be a pass rusher that is good, that still has juice left in the tank, that is going to come in and do the job.
Yeah, I agree. And it looks as if, though, this is why Buck fans, we're more happy that it ended the way that it did, because your Bucks got past a lot of obstacles. They defied a lot of things, and now the body language looks like Evan said it. I want to come back in Tampa. I would love to stay, but he said Baker's that guy, and Baker said the same. I want him here too. And if those guys they got a repertoire. They will. I do think that they will come back. I think that they'll start re-signing players after the Super Bowl. I'll say they'll start in February. That's when the re-signings will happen.
I see this team. The thing that I look at with other people, the way they're like, oh, we should get rid of Bowles, we should get rid of this, we should do that, we should do this, we don't re-sign Baker, right? People seem to think that we're going to sign a new head coach who's probably going to be, if you go with the odds-on favorite, a Ben Johnson. You're going to marry him with a brand new quarterback. Straight up, that's what you're going to do, because they'll want to draft. The Bucs faithful will want to draft a quarterback. So you draft a quarterback. Do you know what the recipe for success is with that? It don't look good. Drafting a new. Not everyone's going to have the Texans season. A lot of people are going to have other team seasons.
And you have to start over again. Now this offense would have been wants to instill a completely different offense. Now they have to learn all over again, different schemes, where different gaps for the line. It's now you're frustrating. Now we're going to have another frustrating. And what if this one doesn't pan out?
We have got a reputation for years and years and years of constantly. I mean, Dirk Carr was probably the longest tenured head coach for some bizarre reason that no one ever saw coming. That was a little bit insane. How he was very lucky he had that 9-7 season smack bang in the middle of his Bucs career.
Well,
right?
I honestly think that was the players as well. The players started believing a lot more, and the defense. Dirk Cutter had something the only time that year that he only had in his entire tenure as a coach. The defense stepped up. McCoy was killing. JPP was killing. Not JPP. Someone else on there was killing. But yeah, that's it. And like you said, after that, Mike Smith's defense was just ass. So you're right. It didn't transcend, but we do have a knack of getting rid of people and then setting ourselves back into what do we were trying to find.
Look, this year is going to give you an honest look at what Coach Bowles can really do. It really will, because he can't turn around and go, he didn't have no money to go buy anybody.
Nope.
He doesn't. He's got talent all around him. And now he gets to really put it together. His rookie offensive coordinator is no longer a rookie. So he's learned, he's got playoff experience, which is great.
Yep. It's
great. You have a quarterback that believes in the system, believes in the players. He's built a great repertoire with some of the players on the team. That Cade Otton in the last few weeks If he continues that kind of work going into next season,
He'll be
you could be
something.
looking at him being a Pro Bowler, or at least knocking on the door, or not just a Pro Bowler, but like an all, not maybe not an All Pro, but knocking on the door as as a Pro Bowler, or just being seen as one of the better tight ends in the league. He doesn't have to be the best; he just needs to be one of the better tight ends in the league. And then you
Yeah,
get Trey
he'll be
Palmer,
another
who
offensive
emerges as
piece.
this elite slot guy. You could get that out of him too. You put that together, you've got two solid wideouts. You've got a super solid tight end, and then you've got the guy with the speed, the jets. You can interchange him. You can interchange him with Chris Godwin. So one of them one goes outside, one goes slot, one goes out inside, one goes out slot. So you can interchange. They are interchangeable, in my opinion. And then the running back situation, you kind of got down. You don't have to worry about that too much because, let's face it, just got to fix the offensive line. Give the offensive line a bit more stability so it can hold a bit more in the pass, and we can do damage in the run game. We do that, and we have a consistent, coherent run game from day one to game one to from week 1 to week 18. This team can go further in the playoffs. And if the defense is just as good as they are last year, not better, but just as good as last year, I would see an uptick in what we can do. If they can get better, a better safety and a better pass rusher, this team is set.
Yeah, and they could be what the social media people are saying about the Detroit Lions on that run to at least the NFC title. The Bucs, and that's what makes this Bucs team dangerous. We're literally like 2 to 3 solid pieces away from being back in that competition question, especially if Baker stays.
And then we can then we can truly judge Coach Bowles. Like,
yes,
you've got the pieces. And the big thing in this is when you look at some of these teams, and I've mentioned a couple of them already, when you click on them and it says their record, it also tells you how many Pro Bowlers they've got and how many All Pros they got. They got way more than us.
Yep.
We did it with, well, let's face it, on world media, on the media would say we've got 2 to 3 really good players, and they are Mike Evans,
David,
Tristan Wirfs,
wow,
and Antoine Winfield, and an argument could be made for Levante David. I'm talking about media.
Oh, yeah. No, media, you're right. Wirfs, Winfield, Evans. That's it.
Yeah. And
That's
then the next tier would be your Levante Davids, probably a Baker Mayfield, Chris Godwin.
Yep.
After that, it's almost dead in the water from the media.
Right. It's who?
Those are two tiers of players. I suppose the next tier would probably be the 2 corners, and then Yaya Diaby or someone, and can't see those kind of guys that are either emerging talent or talent that's kind of stuck in a certain level. But that's the difference of where we are. We got a guy who's going to go in and be a right tackle for the second time for another year. All that adds that experience of what he's learned, watching the tape, getting it right. All that can come in now.
Tristan Wirfs,
have to let it happen. And if Coach Bowles drops the ball and we don't play well, but the offense is scoring points and the defense is the problem, which I don't think it will be, then you go and have a look and go, do we go down the alley of making Dave Canales the offensive coordinator? Sorry, the offensive coordinator into the head coach.
I think you're right. And also, a lot of people don't realize under Bowles' tenure, your Bucs haven't been blown out. When's the last time you could say the Bucs were getting spanked 38-3?
I think we're just a little bit greedy from what we've had. We've had a good fill in the last few years, but like Coach Bowles, let's look at it. He should have went 9-8. He went 9-8 this year, won a playoff game, lost a playoff game. That ain't bad considering 1 year was with the GOAT and next year you changed a lot of shit.
You changed a
lot of stuff. You got yourself a rookie. You got a rookie OC, and people are going, "Oh, you got a rookie OC." There's no guarantee in this league. That you've got at some point you've got to make a guy go from a quarterback's coach or a wide receivers coach to an OC. Someone's got to make that leap of faith. I think this guy can do it.
Yep.
Just like the Miami Dolphins made their leap of faith in their head coach, who didn't really call many plays when he was in San Fran.
Nope.
They went for a head coach who's not really call plays. That was a good OC.
Yep.
But he didn't call plays. Now he's calling plays, and he's the head coach. It's paid off for him. Don't get me wrong, they spend some money as well. You've got to do that too. But spending the money, getting the draft right, good defense, good offense, complementing each other, you're going to be set up for success. Get used to being in the playoffs, Buccaneers fans.
Exactly.
That's what you know. You had 4 years in the playoffs.
The
4 years
longest
in the playoffs. We hadn't had that in forever.
we hadn't had that since 2007, guys. And we're the only NFC team that's been 4 years straight. And again, we did it without the Brady. We did it without the GOAT. And again, it wasn't Brady and the Bucs. It was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that's what Slick and I are explaining. This team is on the rise. This will be Worth's second season coming in as a left tackle with more experience. This will be, again, Mock might all of a sudden learn and grow and be better. And again, you know, if
the Buccaneers go to the playoffs next year, this will be the longest playoff run they've ever had.
Exactly. And I think that's very possible. No injuries. Pray on that. But again, another season under Canales. Again, if he finds the right back to
let's look at this. First, 1999 lost the conference. 2000 lost in the wild card. 2001 lost the wild card. That's when they went, we got to make a coaching change. This guy can't get it done. We'll go to a Super Bowl, and then it's dead. 2004-5, we're losing the wild card.
Yep.
2007, we're losing the wild card.
Wild card.
Right? After that. So
Dark years. Dark years.
Dark years.
Dark years.
Then we go win the Super Bowl, lost in the divisional round, lost the wild card, lost in the divisional round. 2024 could go all the way.
Amen. And Buck fans,
5 years of playoffs. We've got to get used to this, guys. Just don't. Changing a coach when you're going to the playoffs just seems foolish for a team that barely makes the playoffs. We've gone to the playoffs in our existence only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 times. And we're there going, we should get rid of our coach because he got us to the playoffs and we won a playoff game. We need a reality check sometimes. And those reality checks, they don't bounce.
They never bounce. Again, Buck. And here's the thing, Buck fans. All you Buck fans that are under 30, this is the great times.
It's like
enjoy this. We just talked about the dark years. After 2007, Buck fans, if you don't know, those were some shitty ass times. 2010 it was a mirage. That's why that one sucked because we looked like we were going somewhere. And then 2011 happened. Raheem loses the locker room. Then 2016, we thought we were thankful to be 9-7. We weren't even caring that we didn't get in the playoffs. We were like, bro, we got a winning record. And then 2017 came, we went back to being shit. And we had the pieces together to get us, but we just didn't have the right quarterback. So, guys, as Slick just said, this Bucs team is set for a minute. And your defense is getting younger. Cansey and Yaya, your stars, your studs.
Future draft picks on top of that as well. Christian Izzian's going to come back. He might not even be a starter next year. He's just going to be that rotational piece that causes havoc. You don't know. There's so much on here, guys. Don't get down on your Bucs because they lost in the divisional round to a very good team.
To a very, very good team. A very good team. Now, mind you, again, now, Lions fans, I'm sorry, Slick. I don't ever want to hear Lions fans talk about that Dallas shit because it's one. We can always go back to the Rams game where Puka should have gotten the interference because 2 of them tackled him. Now you're even. The refs were on your side. I wanted to bring this up because people were like, "Oh no, you're just saying that bullshit." That was an interference on the 2-point conversion. If you go back and watch the replay,
I'll be honest, at first I didn't think it was, and then I've looked at it a few more times. He doesn't really look back at the quarterback. He hooks the arm. I don't mind him being in the framework of the body because there's nothing wrong with that. But you can't grab anything. You can't. If you grab or stop the arm from going up, you are interfering with. You are interfering.
Slick, you said the number one thing, but this is why I told Lions fans. I circled that shit. He hooked the arm. That's what you said. Mm-hmm. When he tried, the right arm did this. He pushed the right arm down.
Which means you can't get your interference with the catch. Now, here's the trick. If you want, Bucs fans, this is how you play it. The hands are up. You watch. See that ball appear? Then you knock it, because there's a split second. Well, maybe in half a second, whatever you want to call it. His hands are up. All you got to do is get your hands everywhere he puts his hands. You put one hand up, get one hand ready, because they can always change. One drill I always work on with my guys is they have a wide receiver right in front of them. They have their back to the guy who's throwing the ball, and they just follow their hands. And I always say to them, have one hand up and one hand ready to go. Because if they change hands, you can move that hand there and put this hand back. So you're constantly doing this. And then if you do that, they're never going to catch the fucking ball. Now, we know that they're also moving at the same time. So there's a little bit of finesse to it, but you play the hands.
Play the hands, and he didn't do that. He literally put his arm. When I saw him grab Evans' arm, like he tried to be sneaky. You know what he tried to do? He tried to make it look like he was going to put his hands up to swat the ball, but he got underneath Evans' arm, and that's illegal as shit, Detroit fans. Because, and here's another thing, you know what? Like 2 calls that I said, oh, this is dog shit. They gave Otten an interference, a pass offensive interference, and the linebacker literally ran into him. If anything, you could have called an interference on Detroit's linebacker, and then the Carlton Davis. Again, these are stars. Here's
the thing: you have a right to the path of the football, in my opinion. When you're route running, you can't just get out of the way. If you run into a guy, you run into a guy. As long as he doesn't put his hands on you,
you're right.
That's it. If he runs straight into you, he runs straight into you. I'm sorry, but and this is just my opinion. You're not taking a guy out of the game. You're not dropping a shoulder. What are you supposed to do? Sorry, mate. You go around me. You go catch that ball. Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't work like that. But here's the thing. One of the things I always say is when the hands are up like this, the hand that's the furthest away from the ball, in this case, if you are this hand, when the ball comes in, that's the hand you hook. So all you need to do is, while his hands are up like this, Mike Evans' hands would have been up. All you need to do is target the wrists and just pull them apart last second.
And he didn't.
And he got no chance. As soon as that ball appears, you can't catch it when your hands are like this and the ball goes. You're gonna have to really finesse that thing in. If you can get the timing right, get everything.
And I think that's why I said, in a way, it's almost. And this is I'm putting on my conspiracy cap again.
Oh,
it's a business thing. Detroit. It's not a coincidence that this was one of the highest selling average tickets in NFL history. It's not a coincidence that, again, Detroit, it's like a city that rose and fallen, and now it's getting back up from the ashes. And they're a team that's been sorry for so long. Now that they're better, you want to see how far it can go. So it's revenue. That's where the money is, where who people want to see for entertainment purposes. Unfortunately, the Bucs lost that magic after Brady left, because it's not a good enough story. Baker's a strong story, but it's not Detroit. And that's my conspiracy. But here's where, like I said, where the buck stops. San Francisco's a better story, because they're a story of destiny, and they got better players, and they want to see them get there. Brock Purdy is the Mr. Irrelevant. George Kittle is one of the greatest tight ends in the game right now.
It's my turn. Oh, could you imagine a Kittle and Couts Super Bowl?
I rest my case. You're on it. You see, you get where I'm going. You see the stories behind this. This is why Detroit, you're not there yet. And again, it was the media that brought them into the light, because it's.
You know what would be a funny story though, if you wanted to put Detroit in there, is them to lose the Super Bowl.
Oh, not just lose.
Go to the Super Bowl and they lose.
Yeah, I would want them to get blown out, because then, if you see it, typically, especially for a lot of
you want that to be the Ravens to do it then, because it ain't going to be fancy Chiefs doing that.
No. It needs to be Baltimore. But only reason I want Baltimore to go one, because we need to stop the Kansas City Chiefs shit show. It's amazing how they have gone from the darlings, like people really like them, and now it's like, yo, get them the fuck out of here, because they are annoying.
I remember one of my friends is a Jags fan, and he said to when the Bucs went to the Super Bowl, So who'd you pulling for? And he went, oh, I'm gonna pull. We're close friends, right? And he's like, I'm pulling for Kansas City for Mahomes, and I'm like, you're an AFC fan. Why on earth would you cheer for a dynasty? I'm not saying they're a dynasty yet, but they're on their way to being that right now. They constantly go to the AFC Championship game. They are a perennial team that's going to be mentioned in the world of that realm of being one of those types of teams. And I was like, why would you wish for that? Like, surely you want Mahomes to get his ass kicked, so then there's hope. You just got out of one AFC dynasty in the Patriots. Do you really want another team for the next fucking 2 decades to fucking dominate the world? And occasionally 1 or 2 of your AFC teams will make it to the Super Bowl in the span of 20 years. Do you really want that? Or do you want it to be a bit more like the NFC, where it's rotating almost? We've gone Bucs, Rams. Eagles. Who knows this year?
Yeah.
The Niners, the Niners, us, the Rams.
Yeah. And that's what makes the NFC so interesting, because it's always a rabbit out of your hat. Like, what the fuck this year? Woo! This is their time. But you're right. That's why the Taylor Swift shit is so annoying. I don't give a fuck about these.
But it's the NFL's fault for making it a fucking point, because they could ignore her in the fucking broadcast. It's not like she's going, you need to get the camera on me.
But for this reason, it's the money thing. But now people are taking it too far. Now, I know this is a culture thing, but you had an article who was acting like that Taylor Swift invented the swag surf, and that's such a disrespect. First of all, the swag surf is old now. It's been around. I'll teach you about the swag surf league, but it's been around for a minute, and it's just now, unfortunately, in a way, Mahomes is like a prick now. When shit don't go his way, all right, I'm ready, 180. And then, of course, Kelsey is just, like you said, a slot receiver, but he really thinks he's the greatest tight end. That's why I'm just like, okay, Baltimore, beat the brakes off these bastards so we don't see a fucking sitcom. And they're just comparing Mahomes to Brady, and it's like, I don't give a fuck that he's been in all these conferences. He doesn't have the resume yet. He hasn't been there long enough. Slick has told you this, guys, millions of times. You got to give me 5 years at least. I don't give a shit that you had 1 year. We're going to call this the Cooper Kupp syndrome. What happens?
Oh, man. Let me start on fucking Cooper Kupp.
Oh, no, I have to get started, Slick, because you're right. After the Cooper Kupp situation,
Cooper Kupp hasn't done anything. He's got 2 good years, and he's been drafted. People forget that he's been in the NFL since 2017. He has 2 seasons where he's gone over the 2,000-yard mark.
And guess who was drafted with him? And he's doing better. Chris Godwin was in that same draft as Cooper Kupp. And Chris Godwin
is probably the most underrated skill. And that's why he said Mike Evans. That's why Mike Evans is great. And more people see it, because I'm sat with my players. We're talking about football, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Mike Evans." I like, yeah, that's a future Hall of Fame. You would have spoken to them 5 years ago, they would have said Mike Evans is nowhere near the Hall of Fame. He is straight up an average wide receiver. But what he's doing is so special that they bring it up in broadcast. It's brought up on NFL.com. And Mike Evans breaks the such and such and such. He's another 11th season, or the 12th season. He's almost at 100 touchdowns. He is currently the reigning joint touchdown champion, leader in the NFL of all current players. When you put those things together, you're like, oh, fuck yeah, he is good. He just hasn't had one of those breakout years where he's been the top wide receiver, and I don't think he ever will. I'd be honest, I don't think he ever will be, because his skill set's not built for it.
And it's not. He's built to the close and win, and also his personality is not colorful. Again, he's not a Tyreek Hill outspoken person. He's not Odell Beckham. He's not going to have green lipstick on his face. He's not Metcalf, where he's going to show his 10 abs and 10 muscles on his forearm. That's not who he is. He is just a guy who gets the job done. In a way, Mike Evans represents receivers from the 80s and the 90s and early 2000s.
Represents something very special is you can't find many wide receivers that good with that attitude.
And
Chris Godwin, Chris Godwin's in that conversation. Most of them spout when things don't go their way. They start spouting about referees. They start spouting about how they're better than other people. You have never seen Mike Evans saying, I'm a better receiver than this person. You've never seen Chris Godwin saying, I'm a better receiver than that person. They just do their fucking job.
Yep. And the only time Mike Evans ever had to humble somebody and he just brought up the numbers was Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen made
Keenan Allen's a very good wide receiver, and he's very special. The issue was he has that chip on his shoulder that makes him look like a little bitch.
Yep.
Fortunately, that's what it is. Like, he's a really, really good wide receiver. But it's like, why did you have to go after Mike Evans? Like, why not just? And that's the problem. That's the problem with some of these wide receivers. They think they're better than other players, and they can't deal with the fact that they're not.
And then they think they
are.
But when it's time to show out in important games, as we say, playoffs, when they disappear. Evans, typically when he's in the playoffs, here's the most beautiful thing that I do love about Evans. Typically, he never. In reality, Evans doesn't really. When he has an off day, it's usually the quarterback that has an off day. He gets his separations, and like you said, when Keenan Allen, when it comes to playoff times, Keenan Allen fucking disappears. I'm like, Keenan.
Yeah, I don't think they get to the playoffs, do they?
Oh yeah, that's right. Never been in the playoffs. Exactly. Even the great AB, when playoffs came,
and they can't say they don't have the quarterback, dude.
Oh, exactly. You can't say that. But then when these guys don't show up, well, it was something else, and I was doubled. Mike Evans gets doubled. Mike Evans gets doubled.
Every number one wide receiver, unless they're terrible or not very good, will get doubled.
Exactly. And
that's why being that consistent. And I said this. So someone said to me, "It's like, yeah, but Mike Evans, he's just not that good." And I'm like, okay, I'm going to level with you. So find me a wide receiver that doesn't know what Mike Evans done.
They can't.
Find me one.
They can't.
Do you know who's done what Mike Evans has done?
No one.
Randy Moss.
Yeah, except Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, T.O.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, there's a reason. Okay, well, yeah, but this person got injured.
That's not our problem.
Injuries are part of the game.
Right. That's not our problem. But first of all, that's not our problem either. That also shows he's not as durable. So that is a part of the game. If you're not durable, there was a running back on the Dallas Cowboys years ago, Slick. His name was Felix Jones. He had the potential, but he couldn't stay healthy. And I told people, I don't give a fuck. Potential is only good when you can put it on the field. If you have 1-2 good years, that does no. Just like I brought up Cooper Kupp for a reason, because people were saying, well, Puka has a better output. No, it's not even that. Yeah, Puka and Evans are two different type of receivers. But I ask you this. You think Puka could do what Evans did with different quarterbacks? People forget he started out with Stafford, and he has Sean McVay helping the.
Yeah, it's not the same, is it? Like I can give props to people like Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, because I don't know who their coaches are. I'll level with you. I don't know who their coaches are. Russell Wilson seems to be way out of the deep end, and he's never had that career dude.
No.
They all seem to fuck off.
Yep.
His best wide receiver through numbers probably is
Lockett.
Yeah. That he's spent the most amount of time with. You know, a lot of the guys they had were like trade-ins or guys high-end, a solid free agent like a Golden Tate, someone of that nature. Did they have Bolden?
Bolden there. Shit, there was a time, man, Slick, they had Jimmy Graham and he didn't do shit.
This is my point. This is my point. So it's so difficult to do, and being in the best situation. The only person I can say that there's a couple of guys out there that clearly are just good, and I think you can see who great wide receivers. Hill's turned himself into a great wide receiver. He's never had a bad quarterback in his career.
Nope.
So that's difficult to say. Who's the guy went to the Texans or left the Texans?
Hopkins.
Genuinely a very good wide receiver. Really bad at making poor decision making of where to go next. Yes. I'm going to try and find myself a fucking ring. Where are you going to go? I'm going to go to Arizona. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work out. Will work out really well. And one thing I want to say about players getting rings. Did you hear this one from Detroit fans? if the Detroit Lions make the Super Bowl, they should give Barry Sanders a 1-day contract so he can become a Super Bowl champion. And I'm like, it will not fucking matter. He knows he didn't earn that ring. It's a gimme ring. Like,
and that's beautiful because it's like this Detroit. You had not one but two generational players quit because your bum ass organization was keeping them down. How do you fuck up twice? You had Barry Sanders and Megatron.
And you had him fit with a quarterback that's just won a Super Bowl, by the way.
But this is why I say this, Detroit fans. Y'all cannot talk. You beat us. Whoop de fucking do. That's beautiful. However, your overall status is you're still Detroit. You're still Detroit Lions. I just showed you. Hold on. Let me bring it up again. Like they got to understand, like, this is the history. You've been around longer than the Bucs, and we still have more Super Bowls, and we have more playoff wins. So this is you guys. That 08, I'm never going to get rid of that. 0-16. You go 0-16 in modern day football. Ass sauce. Then let's look at you from the history. Shit, from the Lyndon B. Johnson days to the look at all these presidentials you was asked. They was shitty under Lyndon B. Johnson. They were shitty under Nixon. They were shitty underneath Gerald Ford. They were shitty underneath Reagan. Well, everybody was shitty under Reagan. They looked decent under the first Bush, and then the Clinton era, they looked like they was okay, and then right back to that doo-doo sauce. And then so damn. Yeah, so Detroit fans, like, relax. I hope you guys, well, no, I don't hope. I hope you get your ass whooped, but you will. Mark my words. I say San Fran is going to beat them. This is the score that's going to happen, Slick. It's going to be 37-10. They're not even going to get a prayer in because, again, San Francisco is a team right now. They got that sluggish, slow start out of their system. They know that
they had a week off, so
their window of Super Bowl opportunity is closing, and they don't put it this way. The 49ers don't want to be the 2019 version of themselves. Remember when Jimmy was their quarterback and they still had a squad? They don't want that this year, so they're going to go out, and Shanahan is going to be the coach that's going to push them over that. Again, Detroit, it's a nice story, but this is where it ends here. And when it does, I'll be singing a Temptation song, and I'm going to be like, bring your ass back on over here. So, have class, but remember, have some class because your whole existence was ass before that. Again, we watch you guys on Thanksgiving days, not out of necessity, but just to wake up and get ready for the better game.
It's part of Thanksgiving, isn't it? We don't even have Thanksgiving in my country, and that's part of my Thanksgiving thing.
Exactly. Because we have to give
the Lions lose at Thanksgiving.
Exactly. Detroit again, guys. Detroit fans.
God
just
bless.
Be happy. Just be happy. Exactly. Look, you're that kid look, Detroit is literally the high school kid who finally graduated after 3 years in 12th grade. You finally did it. You're 20 years old, and you finally got your diploma. Or there's Stoop kid from Hey Arnold, 14 years old in 3rd grade. That is what Detroit, that's what your team is. You finally got some respect. And like I said, I'll never forgive you because Calvin and Barry Sanders had to quit because you were that sorry. So, again, congratulations, but this is where the shit ends. And, it's getting late with me, but I'm gonna close it out and say, but guys, again, very proud of this Buccaneers team. You should be damn proud too. Again, they're ahead of schedule. And again, Slick said it already, guys. It's going to be a lot of things now. We're not firing coaches here. We're going to stick this shit out. Firing coaches hasn't been our repertoire. The only time it worked is
for the last 4 years.
And then what we did with Gruden, we paid heavily. We had to pay with blood and tears. Literally,
we kept on changing coaches, hoping we'll find someone better, drafting another guy that hopefully he's going to be the future. Right now, everything is set in motion. The Buccaneers just need to finish.
Dungy is that what? Yeah, when we had Dungy, that was the fine girlfriend that she packed on a couple pounds, but she was just sick at that time, and you was being mean, and then you dump her, and then you get Gruden, the bad honey, but not realizing the bad honey is a gold digger, and she bled you dry, and then you kept looking for the next best thing. We don't want to do that no more. Bowles might not be the fine, like if it was a girl, and she ain't gonna be the finest, but she cooks and clean and she's feminine. That's all you need. That's all we need. Just look and
She does
practice.
the deed.
She does indeed and practice, and she's gonna say, "Well, we did everything we could, and practice is always good." But then when she gets to the bedroom, she's gonna hit you with
You
that.
do it great. You do.
Thank you guys, though, for checking out the Aftermath on 102.9 Game Brush South Street Radio. You can always find me again on my YouTube channel. It's about Buck and Time. And then check out my Instagram page. And then, like I said, get the fly gear right here always. And again, we want to get Coach Slick an opportunity. Check that out as well for the intern job. It's called Give Coach Slick an Opportunity on It's About Buck and Time. But as always, you guys take care. Go Bucs. We'll talk later on this week, guys, because we got to talk about potential players that we're going to pick up.
Yes, sir. I'll catch you soon.
Care. Yes, sir.
Okay, guys, that's the end of the show. Welcome. Thank you for joining the Aftermath on the Game Brought you so 102.5. Guys, Bucs, we fought. And yeah, we could have done better. We could have done better. But we fought, and that's what matters. There are good. Not every team goes to the NFC Championship game, and we shouldn't be accustomed to expecting it all the fucking time. Because go look at other teams that don't change their head coaches that often. The Rams, Sean McDermott with the Bills, the Ravens. Seriously, guys, if you seriously can say that if we had the Ravens head coach and he'd done what he just done with the Ravens in the last 4 years, you'd get rid of him? Probably not. Seriously, guys, we've got to come together on this one. Give Coach Bowles our support. See what he does this year, because this year, I'd say there's a spotlight on. Not that he's on the hot seat. There's a spotlight. What can you do when everything's ready for you to set up? He's been working with one hand tied behind his back on the salary cap. Got himself a rookie OC. Got himself a journeyman quarterback, and has turned it into a playoff winning team. That's a fact. Can they capitalize on that? Can they go one better and make it a 12 plus game, 12 plus 11 plus season, 11 plus win season, and win 1 to 2 playoff games every year, culminating eventually into a Super Bowl at some point. Tom Brady won 7 Super Bowls. He played in 21 seasons. You're not going to the Super Bowl every year, guys. Coaches make mistakes. Believe you me, you could sit there and watch Bill Belichick all day long, and when he had Tom Brady and go, they could have done this, they could have done that, they should have done this, they should have done that, they could have done this, they could have done that. It was a good duel. We came away with a loss. We have to go get better. Let's go get it. Bucs on me, Bucs on 3. 1, 2, 3. Go Bucs!